Okay, consider this one as a nasal septum. So nasal septum, usually all the septum will never be straight like this. It will be somehow or other, it will be slightly deviated. The etiology of the deviation of the nasal septum is mostly traumatic, and most common trauma which are responsible for deviation of the nasal septum is the birth trauma. Okay, so if the deviated nasal septum causes symptom, then that needs special attention. Now, what are the types of septal deviation? Septal deviation can be a C-shaped like this. See, it is a C-shaped like this. Septal deviation can be S-shaped like this, or just anterior part of the septum can be deviated. That is the dislocations of the caudal part of the septum out of its columellar part. So it might be a simple C-shaped deviation, it might be a S-shaped deviation, or it might be a dislocation. There is another problem we do encounter, that is in the lower part there will be sharp angulations like this. This sharp angulation is called the spur. Usually spur is formed due to the deviations of the floor of the nasal septum. That is, floor of the nasal septum is formed by the maxillary crest as well as the palatine crest, and when this one is slightly deviated and above it the lower part of the septum gets articulated, that produces a sharp angulation that is known as the spur. Now what symptoms a spur can produce? Spur can produce bleeding, that is epistaxis, due to the overstretchings of the mucosa and continuous irritations. What are the other symptoms of the deviated of the nasal septum? Deviations like this will cause the obstructions in this side. Okay, and again, when this side is obstructed, humidifications of the air is incomplete, so there will be compensatory hypertrophy of the inferior turbinate this side. So ultimately the obstruction will be bilateral. Now what way we can correct it? Corrections of the deviations of the nasal septum is always surgical, and the surgery is either submucosal resections of the nasal septum or submucosal resections of the nasal septum or septoplasty. That means we will correct this deviated part without causing much removals of the bones or cartilage. Now if we go through this model, we will try to understand what is submucosal resections of the nasal septum. Now this is the nasal septum, this is right side, and this is right side, this is left side. So this is R, and this is L. Okay, this is R, this is L, and this is your surgeon standing here, and you have to enter. This is the mucoperichondrial lining of the nasal septum covering the quadrilateral cartilage. This is the mucoperiosteal lining of the nasal septum covering the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid and vomer here, and also palatine bone below. So this covering is mucoperichondrial and mucoperiosteal. The same way here also, this is a mucoperichondrial covering up to this and mucoperiosteal covering here. Now you remember that we have to correct the deviation. That means we need not to remove the mucoperichondium or mucoperiosteum. What we need to remove is the deviated bones or cartilages. Now indications of submucosal resections of the nasal septums are when the patient deviation is gross and patient is adult and the deviation is in the posterior part. Deviation in the anterior part is always will be tackled by the septoplasty operation. Septoplasty is much more conservative, much more scientific operation. Now we are going to study how the submucosal resections of the nasal septum is being performed. So we are going to give an incision here over this area. Okay, so this is my incision, and if this is the incision, this is my incision. This incision is known as the Killian's incision. Now I'll deepen this incision. Deepen means I'll cut the incision, mucous part, perichondrial part, and slowly I'll reach. Slowly where I'll reach? Slowly I'll reach the inside it. I'll try to elevate here, and I'll try to reach. I'll see what any other instrument is there, like a Freer's mucoperichondrial elevator. We'll introduce it here. We'll try to elevate, get a plane here. We'll try to get a plane here, and we'll enter into a plane here. Okay, so this is my plane now. This is my plane. Okay, we'll just cut it for the understanding sake with the help of a scissors. This is the plane, and in this plane we will pass this nasal speculum, long bladed nasal speculum. Now what you can see? We can see inside a heart structure. We will elevate this heart structure. What is this heart structure? This is the structure we are able to see. So this is my cartilaginous part of the septum. Then slowly we will elevate the bony part of the septum. So cartilaginous part of the septum, bony part of the septum. Then we will give an incision over this area. See, we have given an incision over this deviated area, non-deviated area, keeping an anterior start, and we'll cut here, and we'll remove this. This is the area we'll elevate. So both side mucoperichondrium and mucoperiosteum is preserved, and we have elevated this whole part and removed this piece of bone and cartilage. This is in general the paper concept of submucosal resections of the nasal septum. Suppose we wanted to do septoplasty, here we will not remove in such a big piece, we will remove a short piece, and we will try to preserve most part of the septum. So that is known as the septoplasty. In septoplasty, both sided flap like this flap and this flap will not be elevated. Septoplasty flap elevations will be only in one side. Septoplasty incision is Freer's, SMR incision is Killian's incisions. Septoplasty conservative approach, SMR is radical approach. So this is the basic way to understand the submucosal resections of the nasal septum through a piece of the paper and a cardboard. So this is a paper and cardboard model of the submucosal resections of the nasal septum. You everybody try to practice it, go through your books and practice it, because this is one operation which surgeons only will be able to see. Other persons will not be able to see the operations. There are complications which I am coming to my next lecture very soon.